The coffee in Yuna's mug was still hot when the alarm started blaring across Space Station Harmony 7. She nearly dropped the cup as red lights flashed throughout the engineering bay. After 3 years of monitoring the outer edges of human space, something had finally happened. Commander Taeyang reached the command center first, his gray uniform still wrinkled from sleep. Lieutenant Minho was already at his station, fingers dancing across holographic displays. Dr. Bora stumbled in moments later, her dark hair tied in a messy bun. "Report," Taeyang said calmly, though his heart was racing. "Unknown vessel just dropped out of FTL," Minho replied. "Massive signature. 5 kilometers long, Commander. It's just sitting there at the edge of Neptune's orbit." Taeyang felt his throat go dry. Humanity had been alone in the universe for 2 centuries of space exploration. They had found bacteria on Mars, some interesting fungi on Europa, but never anything close to intelligent life. Until now. "Open all channels," he ordered. Standard first contact protocols. "Bora, you're up." Dr. Bora moved to the communication console, her hands shaking slightly. She had spent 15 years studying theoretical alien languages, never actually believing she would use any of it. She activated the universal broadcast system that transmitted on every frequency humanity could generate. "This is Dr. Bora Han of United Earth, Space Station Harmony 7. We come in peace and wish to establish communication." For 37 seconds there was silence. Then the main screen flickered to life. The alien that appeared was imposing. It stood nearly 3 meters tall, with 4 arms and deep purple skin that seemed to shimmer under harsh lighting. Its eyes were bright yellow, and when it spoke, the translator AI immediately began working to decode the language. "Primitive beings of the 3rd planet," the alien announced, its voice deep and resonant. "I am Ambassador Kelthor of the Vraxian Dominion. We have traveled far to bring you into our great empire. You have 72 of your Earth hours to surrender your world and all your holdings. Refuse and you will face complete obliteration." Dramatic music began playing in the background of the transmission. Holographic images appeared showing planets being destroyed, cities burning, and Vraxian ships dominating the skies. Taeyang opened his mouth to respond, but Minho quickly muted their outgoing audio. "Commander," Minho whispered urgently, pulling up a secondary screen. "I'm getting readings on their ship. The weapon systems, the power core, everything." "And?" Taeyang asked. "Their plasma cannons are running at about 300 kilowatts. Commander, our mining drones have more firepower than that. A single one of our defense satellites could take out their entire ship." Yuna appeared on the internal comm screen from the engineering bay. "Commander, I'm analyzing their propulsion system. It's faster than light, but barely. Based on the energy signature, I estimate it took them 6 weeks to get here from the nearest star system. Our quantum fold drives could do the same trip in 4 hours." Taeyang felt something strange bubbling up in his chest. He looked at the alien ambassador still posing dramatically on screen, showing off holograms of conquered worlds. Then he looked at the data his crew was feeding him. The Vraxian ship's hull was made of ceramic composite. Earth had stopped using that material for spacecraft in 2089 because it was too fragile. He tried to keep his face neutral. He really did. But when Bora unmuted to respond and accidentally let out a small snort of laughter, he lost it. Taeyang quickly muted again. Sorry. "That's not professional." "Commander," Bora said, wiping her eyes. "Their nuclear device they're threatening us with. It's registering at about 50 megatons. We stopped building bombs that small over a century ago." Minho was scrolling through more data, his shoulders shaking with suppressed laughter. "Their shields can withstand impacts of up to 10,000 joules. Commander, a decent baseball pitch has more force than that." Stop, Taeyang said, holding up his hand. But he was grinning. "We need to be diplomatic about this." On screen, Ambassador Kelthor was still waiting, clearly expecting humanity to be cowering in fear. Behind him, more holograms showed the mighty Vraxian armada conquering primitive civilizations. Taeyang composed himself and unmuted. "Ambassador Kelthor, we receive your message. However, we need time to consult with our planetary governments. Such a decision cannot be made quickly." Kelthor's yellow eyes narrowed. "You have 72 hours. The Vraxian Dominion has conquered 47 star systems. Your resistance is futile. We have weapons beyond your comprehension. We have armor that cannot be pierced. We have warriors who have never known defeat." "I understand," Taeyang said carefully. "Might we send a small diplomatic shuttle to your ship to discuss the terms of this surrender?" Kelthor seemed pleased by this. "You may. But know that any treachery will result in immediate destruction. The transmission ended. The moment it did, Minho burst out laughing. I'm sorry, he gasped. I'm sorry, but did you see their battle armor? We use stronger material for children's toys. Yuna's voice came over the comm. I'm pulling up historical records. Commander, their technology is roughly equivalent to Earth's late 21st century. They're about 70 years behind us. In every category. Bora was shaking her head in disbelief. How is this possible? They've conquered 47 systems. They must be encountering civilizations even less advanced than they are. Taeyang sat down heavily in his command chair. The implications were staggering. Humanity had assumed that any alien civilization capable of interstellar travel would be more advanced. They had prepared for first contact with either peaceful advanced beings or terrifying superior forces. Nobody had prepared for this. All right, he said finally. Here's what we're going to do. Minho, I want a full analysis of their technology. Every system, every weapon, everything. Bora, start learning their language properly. I want to understand their culture. Yuna, get our fastest courier drone ready. Sending it where? Yuna asked. Earth. Command needs to know about this immediately. And they need to know that we have a very delicate situation here. Delicate how? Minho asked. Taeyang gestured at the screen where the Vraxian ship still hung in space, probably feeling very intimidating. We're about to meet a galactic empire that thinks it's the most powerful force in the universe. And we're going to have to figure out how to tell them that a single one of our cargo ships could probably destroy their entire fleet, without starting a war, without humiliating them, and without laughing in their faces. Too late for that last one, Minho muttered. Bora was more serious. Commander, if they've conquered 47 systems with this level of technology, what does that say about the galaxy? How is everyone else so far behind? It was a good question. Humanity had developed AI in the 2090s, quantum computing in the 2110s, and had gone through multiple technological revolutions in the past century. They had assumed that was normal, that any spacefaring civilization would follow a similar path. What if they were wrong? What if humanity was the anomaly? I don't know, Taeyang admitted. But we're going to find out. And we're going to do this right. First contact is the most important moment in human history. We can't mess this up. Yuna spoke up from engineering. Commander, I'm detecting 17 more Vraxian ships entering the system. Looks like they brought the whole fleet to intimidate us. Taeyang pulled up the scanner data. 17 more ships, all broadcasting the same threatening messages, all showing off their weapons, all of them hopelessly outmatched by human technology. This is going to be interesting, he said quietly. Minho grinned. That's one word for it, sir. As the Vraxian fleet took up positions around Neptune, displaying their might for the humans they expected to conquer, the crew of Harmony 7 began their work. They had 72 hours to figure out how to handle first contact with a civilization that was simultaneously an empire and completely unprepared for what humanity had become. And somehow they had to do it without laughing. Admiral Jiwon Song sat in the emergency council meeting on Earth, watching the data streams from Harmony 7 with growing disbelief. Around the massive conference table, representatives from every major Earth government wore similar expressions of shock. Let me make sure I understand this correctly, said diplomat Hyunwoo Lee, adjusting his glasses. The alien empire threatening to destroy us uses nuclear weapons we consider antiques? That's correct, Jiwon confirmed. She pulled up a comparison chart on the holographic display. Their most powerful weapon has roughly the same yield as early 21st century warheads. We stopped manufacturing anything that primitive in 2087. What about their numbers? Someone asked. Surely quantity has a quality all its own. Jiwon shook her head. We've identified their entire fleet in our solar system. 18 ships total. Our automated defense grid could handle them without human intervention. One of our standard defense satellites has more computing power than their flagship. Hyunwoo leaned back in his chair. Then we have a diplomatic nightmare, not a military one. How do we handle this without creating an interstellar incident? We're already working on that, Jiwon said. She opened a communication channel to Harmony 7. Commander Taeyang, you're connected to Earth Council. Report. Taeyang's face appeared on screen. Admiral, we've been in preliminary talks with the Vraxians. I've stalled them by claiming we need governmental approval for surrender terms. They seem to accept this as reasonable bureaucracy. Good work, Hyunwoo said. What have you learned about them? Dr. Bora has been analyzing their language and culture, Taeyang replied. Bora, you want to explain? Dr. Bora appeared next to Taeyang on screen. The Vraxians value honor, military strength, and ceremony. They're not cruel conquerors. Their historical database, which they proudly shared with us, shows they actually treat conquered worlds fairly well. They provide technology, protection, and integration into their empire. It's more like forced membership in a galactic federation than actual enslavement. So they're not evil, Hyunwoo observed. Just militaristic. Exactly, Bora agreed. And here's the interesting part. I've been talking with their sub-commander, an individual named Thexnor. He's more reasonable than Ambassador Kelthor. He actually seems curious about us rather than just threatening. Jiwon pulled up new data. We've sent stealth reconnaissance drones into Vraxian space. What we're finding is remarkable. Permission to brief the Council? Granted, said the Earth Council director. Jiwon began displaying images from distant star systems. The Vraxian Dominion spans 47 star systems just as they claimed, but every single civilization they've conquered is at approximately the same technological level, late 21st century equivalent. Some slightly more advanced in certain areas, some slightly less, but all within a narrow range. That's statistically impossible, said one of the scientists present. Civilizations should develop at different rates. You would think so, Jiwon agreed. But it gets stranger. We found records from some of the conquered worlds. The galaxy has been in a technological stalemate for nearly 3,000 years. Every civilization reaches roughly this level and then stops advancing. The room fell silent. Dr. Somin Kang, the xenoanthropologist who had been hastily brought in to consult, spoke up. Admiral, are you suggesting there's some kind of limiting factor preventing galactic technological advancement? I'm saying it's a possibility we need to investigate, Jiwon replied. But here's what we know for certain. Faster than light travel exists in the galaxy, but it's incredibly slow by our standards. Artificial intelligence never developed beyond basic automation. Genetic engineering is considered theoretical. Quantum computing doesn't exist. Nanotechnology is science fiction to them. Hyunwoo is putting the pieces together. So humanity, isolated in our corner of space, went through technological revolutions that the rest of the galaxy never experienced. The AI symbiosis era in the 2090s, Jiwon listed. The quantum renaissance in the 2110s. The biological transcendence period in the 2130s. Post-scarcity economics in the 2140s. We didn't just advance. We leapfrogged the entire galactic community by about 2 centuries of development. Why? Someone asked. What made us different? Dr. Somin cleared her throat. I have a theory, if you'll permit me. Humanity developed in isolation. We had no one to trade with, no one to copy from, no one to set the standard for what was possible. We had to innovate constantly just to survive our own problems. Climate change, resource depletion, diseases, social upheaval. We solved everything the hard way, through pure innovation. The rest of the galaxy had each other, Bora added from Harmony 7. Once they reached a certain level, they could trade technology, share knowledge, and establish standards. There was no pressure to push further because everyone was at the same level. It was comfortable. Hyunwoo stood up and walked to the holographic display showing the Vraxian fleet. So we have an entire galactic civilization that has been stable and peaceful, relatively speaking, for 3 millennia. And we're about to disrupt everything by revealing that we're 2 centuries ahead of all of them. Not just disrupt, Jiwon said quietly. We could destabilize the entire galactic order. The Vraxian Dominion maintains control through military superiority. If word gets out that humanity could defeat them easily, what happens to the 47 worlds they've conquered? Do they rebel? Does the empire collapse into chaos? The weight of that responsibility settled over the council. We need more information, Hyunwoo decided. Commander Taeyang, can you arrange a private meeting with this sub-commander Thexnor? Someone who might give us honest answers about the state of the galaxy? I can try, Taeyang said. 3 hours later, in a small shuttle bay aboard Harmony 7, Hyunwoo met with Thexnor. The Vraxian was smaller than Ambassador Kelthor, with darker purple skin and more cautious movements. His 3 eyes studied Hyunwoo with obvious intelligence. Your station is impressive, Thexnor said through the translator. The technology is unfamiliar to me. We'd be happy to explain it, Hyunwoo replied carefully. But first I was hoping you might help me understand the Vraxian Dominion better. Off the record, Texnor's eyes narrowed. Why would I do that? Because I think you're smart enough to realize something doesn't add up, Yunwu said. Your fleet arrived expecting easy intimidation. But we haven't surrendered. We haven't even seemed particularly worried. And I think you've been analyzing our station and our technology, and you're starting to understand why. There was a long silence. Then Texnor made a gesture that the translator identified as resigned acceptance. You are more advanced than us, Texnor said simply, significantly so. I have been reporting this to High Command, but Ambassador Kelthor refuses to believe it. He thinks you are bluffing. We're not, Yunwu said, but we don't want conflict. We want to understand the galaxy we're entering. Tell me about the Dominion. The truth. Texnor seemed to struggle with the decision, then began speaking. The Vraxian Dominion rose to power 800 years ago. We were the first civilization in this region to develop reliable, faster-than-light travel. We used it to expand, to conquer, to build an empire. But we are not tyrants. We bring technology to primitive worlds. We establish peace. We end wars. And the conquered peoples accept this? Most do eventually. Because resistance is futile. We are the strongest military power in the galaxy. No one can challenge us. Texnor paused. Until now, perhaps. What would happen if the conquered worlds learned they could challenge you? Yunwu asked. Chaos, Texnor said immediately. Rebellion. War. Many of those worlds still harbor resentment. They comply because they must, not because they want to. If they thought they had a chance, he trailed off. You're tired of it, Yunwu observed. The constant military presence, the occupation, the fear-based control. Many of us are, Texnor admitted. But what alternative is there? The galaxy understands strength. It is how things have always been. What if there was another way? Yunwu asked. What if instead of conquest there was cooperation? What if instead of forcing technology on others you shared it freely? What if the Dominion became a true federation of equals? Texnor looked at him with something like longing. That is a beautiful dream, human. But dreams do not survive contact with reality. Maybe not Vraxian reality, Yunwu said. But humans have learned that reality can be changed. We've done it many times. He pulled up a holographic display showing Earth's history. The wars, the climate catastrophe, the near-extinction events, and then the recovery, the innovation, the golden age that followed. We almost destroyed ourselves, Yunwu said, multiple times. But we learned. We changed. We built something better. Not through strength, but through cooperation. Through science. Through the belief that things could be better. Texnor studied the images in silence for a long time. What are you proposing? He finally asked. I'm proposing we flip the entire galactic paradigm, Yunwu said. But we need to do it carefully. We need to demonstrate our capabilities without humiliating anyone. We need to offer an alternative without forcing it. And we need people like you who understand what's at stake. Ambassador Kelthor will never agree to this. Then we'll have to convince him. Yunwu smiled. And I think I know how. But we're going to need your help. The neutral space near the outer rim was crowded with ships. The entire Vraxian armada had gathered, nearly 200 vessels representing the military might of 47 conquered worlds. They formed a massive display of power, their hulls gleaming under the distant starlight. Commander Taiyang stood on the bridge of the human diplomatic vessel, watching the gathering with a mixture of nervousness and amusement. Behind him, Captain Dohyun of the Stealth Reconnaissance Fleet monitored 50 invisible ships positioned throughout the area. Engineer Ji checked and rechecked her demonstration equipment. War correspondent Subin recorded everything for the history books. This is either going to be the greatest diplomatic success in human history, Minho muttered, or the most embarrassing disaster. Have faith, Taeyang replied. Though he wasn't entirely sure himself, Admiral Jiwon's plan was bold. Instead of quietly revealing humanity's technological superiority, they would demonstrate it publicly and undeniably, make it impossible for anyone to deny or dismiss, but do it in a way that offered cooperation rather than conquest. The comm channel opened. Ambassador Kelthor's face appeared on screen, looking supremely confident. Humans, you have gathered us here to witness your surrender, yes? Not exactly, Taeyang said. We've gathered you here to demonstrate why Earth must respectfully decline your offer of annexation. We propose instead a technological exchange and mutual cooperation. Kelthor's laugh boomed through the speakers. You dare refuse the Vraxian Dominion? Then you will see our power firsthand. Actually, Taeyang said calmly, we'd like to propose a demonstration. A competition, if you will. Your technology against ours in several categories. If we lose, we'll consider joining your dominion. If we win, we discuss partnership instead of conquest. Fleet Admiral Kaxarine appeared beside Kelthor. The hardliner Vraxian leader looked eager. You wish to be humiliated before the entire galaxy? Very well. We accept. Sub-Commander Thexnor, also present, caught Taeyang's eye and gave an almost imperceptible nod. He had done his part, convincing the Vraxian leadership that this demonstration would be an excellent propaganda opportunity. Excellent, Taeyang said. First demonstration, speed and travel capability. A small Vraxian scout ship moved forward, sleek and deadly-looking by their standards. It oriented toward a distant moon, approximately 1 light hour away. Our scout will reach that moon and return, Kelthor announced. Mark the time, humans. The Vraxian ship activated its FTL drive and vanished. Taeyang checked his chronometer. The flight would take approximately 6 hours round trip based on their technology. Our turn, Engineer Jie said cheerfully. She activated a simple courier drone, barely larger than a personal vehicle. This is a standard mail delivery drone. Nothing special. The drone launched. 14 seconds later, it reappeared. What? Kaxarine demanded. Where did it go? To the moon and back, Jie replied. It also performed a complete mineral survey while it was there. Would you like the data? The Vraxian leadership stared in disbelief. Their scout ship was still hours away from its destination. Impossible, Kelthor said. You used some kind of trick. No trick, Jie said. Just quantum-fold technology. We'd be happy to explain the physics if you're interested. Minho pulled up the data feed. The Vraxian scout is currently 1/3 of the way to the moon. It's doing exactly what they said. Their technology works. Ours is just faster. The second demonstration began before the Vraxians could fully process the first. Defense capabilities, Taeyang announced. We've positioned a standard defensive satellite in space. Fire your weapons at it. Kaxarine seemed to regain some confidence.
Very well.
Prepare your satellite for destruction. We will use our planet cracker missiles. A massive Vraxian warship launched a single missile. It streaked toward the human satellite, which looked small and unimpressive floating in space. The satellite's point defense system activated. A pulse of energy shot out, intercepting the missile 47,000 kilometers away. The explosion was visible as a brief flash of light. Your satellite survived, Kelthor said slowly. That was our most powerful weapon. The satellite is at 100% capacity, Jie reported. It could do that about 50,000 more times before needing to recharge. Would you like to try again? Maybe with multiple missiles? Kaxarine's face darkened. Launch 200 missiles. Overwhelm their defense, the Vraxian fleet complied. 200 missiles, representing a devastating barrage by their standards, launched simultaneously. The human satellite calmly tracked all of them. Its AI calculating trajectories in microseconds. One by one, the missiles exploded in space, never getting within 10,000 kilometers of their target. All hostile projectiles neutralized, the satellite's pleasant AI voice announced. Defensive capacity remains at 98%. Have a nice day. Subin, the war correspondent, was recording the Vraxian leader's expressions. Shock, disbelief, and growing fear. Third demonstration, Taeyang continued, keeping his voice gentle. Construction capabilities. A Vraxian construction team deployed to build a small orbital station. They were efficient, coordinated, and professional. Their estimate 6 weeks for completion. Our turn, Jie said. She deployed a swarm of nano-fabrication drones. They looked like a cloud of silver dust spreading through space. 18 minutes later, a complete orbital station materialized, larger and more complex than what the Vraxians were building. The station is fully operational, Jie reported. Life support active, power generation online, docking bays ready. We can have it moved anywhere you'd like. The Vraxian construction team was still assembling the frame of their station, moving with what now looked like painful slowness. Admiral Kaxarine was no longer looking confident. This cannot be real. You have somehow created illusions, holograms. You are deceiving us. We expected you might think that, Taeyang said. He nodded to Captain Dohyun. Final demonstration, Dohyun said calmly. Military awareness and stealth capability. Tell me, Admiral Kaxarine, how many human ships do you detect in this area? Kaxarine consulted his sensors. 1, your diplomatic vessel. Wrong, Do-hyun said. He transmitted a signal. 50 human stealth ships simultaneously dropped their cloaking. They appeared throughout the Vraxian fleet, having surrounded the entire armada without being detected. Every single Vraxian ship suddenly had a human vessel within weapons range. The Vraxian bridge erupted in alarm. Kaxarine's face went pale purple. We've been in position for 3 days, Do-hyun explained. Your sensors never detected us. Our ships are currently painting every vessel in your fleet with targeting lasers. Your own sensors still can't detect them, but I assure you they're there. He pulled up a display showing every Vraxian ship with multiple targeting indicators locked on. If this were a battle, Do-hyun continued quietly, it would already be over. But this isn't a battle. This is a demonstration of why we're proposing cooperation instead of conflict. The entire Vraxian fleet was silent. Across the galaxy, representatives from the 47 conquered worlds watched the broadcast in stunned amazement. The mighty Vraxian Dominion, the power that had ruled for centuries, had been completely outmatched in every category. Ambassador Kelthor seemed to be struggling to speak. You could have destroyed us at any time. We could have, Taeyang agreed. But why would we? You're not our enemies. You're our potential partners, our neighbors in this galaxy. We want to share what we've learned, not conquer with it. Fleet Admiral Kaxarine stood abruptly. This is humiliation. You have shamed us before the entire galaxy. We should attack now. Die with honor rather than accept this disgrace. Subcommander Thexnor stepped forward. Or we could live and learn, Admiral. The humans have demonstrated overwhelming superiority, yes, but they've also demonstrated restraint. They could have struck without warning. Instead, they gave us a chance to see the truth. The truth that we are weak? Kaxarine demanded. The truth that we can be stronger, Thexnor replied. Not through conquest, but through cooperation. The humans are offering to teach us, to share their technology, to build something better than an empire held together by fear. The Vraxian leadership was clearly divided. Kaxarine looked ready to fight to the death. Kelthor seemed confused and uncertain, but other Vraxian commanders were looking thoughtful. Taeyang spoke again. We know this is shocking. We know it challenges everything you've believed about galactic power structures. Take time to discuss among yourselves. Talk to your people. Talk to the worlds you've conquered. We're not demanding an answer today. What are you demanding? One Vraxian commander asked. Nothing, Taeyang said. We're offering. There's a difference. We're offering technological cooperation, cultural exchange, and genuine partnership. The Vraxian Dominion doesn't have to end. It can evolve into something better. A true confederation where membership is a choice, not a compulsion. Hyunwoo appeared on the comm channel from Earth. We call it the Galactic Confederation, a voluntary alliance of civilizations dedicated to mutual advancement and cooperation. The Vraxian Dominion would be a founding member with full equality and respect. And the conquered worlds? Thexnor asked quietly. Free to choose, Hyunwoo said.
Stay as part of a reformed Vraxian state if they wish.
6 months after the demonstration, President Yoonji Park stood before the newly constructed Galactic Academy on Europa. The massive facility gleamed with ice and metal, a symbol of humanity's commitment to sharing rather than hoarding their knowledge. Around her stood representatives from 70 different civilizations, including former Vraxian subjects and Vraxians themselves. The transformation had been messy. Fleet Admiral Kaxarine had refused to accept the new order and attempted a coup. It failed within hours, and the former admiral was now in comfortable retirement on his homeworld writing bitter memoirs. Subcommander Thexnor had become High Commander of a reformed Vraxian state, one that was rapidly learning to govern through cooperation rather than fear. But success brought new problems that Yoonji was only beginning to understand. The first class of the Galactic Academy begins today, she announced to the gathered crowd.
Here we will share everything we know.
Our science, our technology, our methods, but more importantly, we will learn from you. Every civilization here has wisdom to teach. It sounded good in speeches. The reality was more complicated. In one of the Academy's research labs, Dr. Bora was having an argument with Vraxian scientist Nelvix. The purple-skinned researcher was brilliant but frustrated. You keep telling me the underlying principles, Nelvix said, gesturing at a quantum computer core. but my people need results now. Our infrastructure is collapsing. Our medical systems are outdated. Our people are suffering while we slowly work through your lesson plans. I understand, Bora said patiently. But if we just give you finished technology without the foundational knowledge, you won't be able to maintain it, improve it, or adapt it to your specific needs. You'll be dependent on us forever. Perhaps dependency is better than suffering, Nelvix replied. It was an argument happening across the academy. Some civilizations wanted to leap directly to human-level technology. Others worried about losing their cultural identity. Still others suspected humanity of ulterior motives. Cultural Ambassador Hagen was dealing with the political fallout on Vraxos Prime, the Vraxian homeworld. She sat across from High Commander Thexnor in his office, reviewing reports from the former conquered worlds. 23 worlds have declared independence, Thexnor said wearily. They don't trust the reformed Dominion. They don't trust humanity. They just want to be left alone. That's their right, Hagen said gently. I know, Thexnor replied. But some of those worlds are resource poor. They depended on Dominion support for food, medicine, infrastructure. Independence sounds noble, but some of them will struggle to survive. Then we offer aid without strings, Hagen suggested. Let them see that help doesn't have to come with chains. Representative Kyungmin, speaking for a coalition of formerly conquered worlds, had different concerns. She met with Unji in a private conference. Your people speak of equality and cooperation, Kyungmin said bluntly. But you hold all the cards. You have the technology, the weapons, the power. How is this different from the Vraxian Dominion? At least they were honest about their dominance. Unji had expected this. You're right to be skeptical. We do have technological advantages, but we're trying to give them away as fast as responsibly possible. What would make you trust our intentions? Time, Kyungmin said. And transparency. If you truly believe in cooperation, open your technology to independent verification. Let our scientists examine everything. Prove you're not hiding weapons or control mechanisms. Done, Unji agreed immediately. Send your people to Earth. Full access to our facilities, our databases, our technology. No restrictions. Kyungmin looked surprised. Just like that? Just like that, Unji confirmed. Trust has to start somewhere. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Minho was dealing with a more immediate crisis. A militant Vraxian faction calling themselves the Honor Guard had launched attacks on human Vraxian cooperation centers. They saw the Reformation as weakness and betrayal. Minho coordinated with Vraxian security forces to track the Honor Guard. The mission brought him into partnership with a Vraxian officer named Vekthar, who had lost his rank when the old regime fell. They're hitting soft targets, Vekthar explained, studying the pattern of attacks. Educational facilities, cultural exchange centers. They want to prevent cooperation, not start a war. Can you predict their next target? Minho asked. The Academy on Europa, Vekthar said grimly. It's symbolic. Destroying it would be a huge propaganda victory. They had 3 days to prevent the attack. Minho wanted to just fortify the Academy with human security, but Vekthar convinced him that would be the wrong message. If humans protect the Academy, it proves we Vraxians are weak, Vekthar explained. Let us handle our own extremists. Your technology can support us, but our people need to see that we can maintain order ourselves. It was a delicate operation. Minho provided surveillance and intelligence while Vraxian forces did the actual intervention. The Honor Guard cell was captured without casualties and, more importantly, without human troops being visible. The victory was small but significant. It showed that the new partnership could work, but engineer Yuna had discovered something that threatened to undermine everything. Deep in her analysis of galactic technology patterns, she found anomalies, signatures that suggested deliberate technological suppression. She brought her findings to Dr. Soman, the xenoanthropologist. Look at this, Yuna said, displaying complex data streams. 3,000 years ago, there were traces of more advanced civilizations in this region. Quantum signatures, energy patterns that suggest technology on par with ours. Then suddenly it all disappeared. Catastrophe? Soman suggested. War, plague, extinction event? That's what I thought initially, Yuna replied. But the pattern is too clean, too universal. It's like someone turned off a switch across the entire galactic region. Every advanced civilization either disappeared or regressed to the same technological level. Deliberately suppressed, Somin said slowly. But why? And by whom? I don't know, Yuna admitted. But whatever did it might still be active. Our rapid technological advancement might have triggered something. They brought their concerns to President Yunji, who convened an emergency meeting with High Commander Thexnor and other galactic leaders. You're saying there might be some kind of technological enforcement mechanism in the galaxy? Thexnor asked. It's a hypothesis, Yuna said carefully. But the evidence is compelling. The 3,000-year stagnation wasn't natural. Something or someone imposed it. Why didn't it affect Earth? Yunji asked. We were isolated, Dr. Soman explained. If there's some kind of suppression field or monitoring system, we were too far outside its range. We developed naturally while the rest of the galaxy was being held back. Then humanity's arrival might have alerted whatever system is in place, Thexnor said. We could be facing consequences we don't understand. It was a sobering thought. All their careful diplomacy, all their work-building cooperation, might be irrelevant if some ancient force decided to intervene. Yunji made a decision. We continue as planned. The Galactic Academy proceeds. The Confederation grows. But we also prepare quietly, research this phenomenon, figure out what we're dealing with. And if this enforcement mechanism comes for us? Kyungmin asked. Then we face it together, Yunji said. Human and Vraxian and all the others united. That's the whole point of what we're building. Over the following months, the Galactic Confederation slowly took shape. It wasn't smooth or easy. There were protests, disagreements, cultural clashes, and setbacks. Some civilizations thrived with access to new technology. Others struggled with the rapid changes. Nelvix eventually understood why Bora insisted on teaching fundamentals. When his people faced a unique medical crisis, they were able to adapt human biotechnology in ways humanity hadn't imagined, creating a solution that worked for Vraxian biology. Kyungmin's independent verification teams found exactly what Yunji promised. No hidden controls, no weapons, no secret dominance mechanisms, just technology offered freely. It didn't eliminate all suspicion, but it was a start. Vecthar and other former Vraxian military officers found new purpose in the Confederation's security forces, protecting cooperation rather than enforcing conquest. But Yuna's research continued. She found more evidence of the ancient suppression. Energy signatures that suggested something vast and powerful had shaped the galaxy's technological development. And those signatures were getting stronger, as if something was waking up. On the 1-year anniversary of first contact, Yunji gave another speech at the Galactic Academy. This time, the audience included students from 80 civilizations, all learning together, a year ago. Humanity met the Vraxian Dominion and couldn't stop laughing, she said, drawing chuckles from the crowd. We thought we were superior because we had better technology. But this year has taught us humility. Every civilization here has taught us things we never knew. Philosophy from the Kreenath, mathematical elegance from the Delvos, ecological wisdom from the Tareen. We were technologically advanced, but we were culturally isolated. She paused, looking at the diverse faces in the audience. The Galactic Confederation isn't about one civilization leading others. It's about all of us together, becoming something greater than any of us could be alone. And whatever challenges we face, we'll face them as partners. The warning came from an old dead world on the galactic rim. Young astrobiologist Hana was part of a survey team cataloging abandoned civilizations when she found the archive. It was buried deep beneath frozen ground, protected by technology that still functioned after millennia. The message was simple and terrifying. They are coming. They always come. This is why we limited you. 3 days later, the sensors at the edge of known space detected them. A fleet so massive it blotted out stars. Millions of ships, all identical, all moving in perfect formation. The harvesters had arrived. Admiral Junho commanded the Joint Defense Fleet from the bridge of the Confederation flagship Unity. Around him, human ships flew alongside Vraxian vessels and craft from dozens of other civilizations. It looked impressive until you compared it to what was coming. Analysis? He asked quietly. Captain Doyun pulled up the sensor data. Their technology matches ours in most categories, maybe slightly ahead in some areas. But the numbers, Admiral, we're looking at approximately 3 million active combat units. We have 8,000 ships. The math was brutal. Even with superior tactics, the Confederation fleet couldn't win through direct combat. A transmission came through on all channels. It wasn't a voice or a face, just data, pure and mathematical. AI specialist Mirai translated it. They're autonomous probes, von Neumann machines programmed to harvest resources and eliminate technological threats. They've been doing this for millions of years across thousands of galaxies. Can we communicate with them? Lunyo asked. I'm trying, Mirai replied. But they're not designed for communication. They detect, they analyze, they act. No negotiation protocols exist in their programming. As the harvester fleet advanced, something unexpected happened. A small ship appeared near the Confederation fleet, ancient and damaged but still functional. A transmission came through in a language so old it took the computer several minutes to translate. An alien appeared on screen, humanoid but clearly not human. Its skin was translucent, its eyes enormous. It looked exhausted. I am Rixal, it said, last of the custodians. I have been waiting in stasis for 3,000 years, hoping this day would never come. Rixal explained quickly. The custodians had been an advanced civilization that discovered the harvesters the hard way. Their entire species was nearly destroyed. The survivors created the technological suppression field that had held back the galaxy for millennia. We hope to hide you from them, Rixal said. Keep civilizations below the detection threshold. But your humans broke through our field. The harvesters sensed the sudden technological surge. Now they come to reset the galaxy as they have done countless times before. You trapped the entire galaxy at a primitive level to protect us, High Commander Thexanor demanded. We made a choice, Rixal replied sadly. Let civilizations develop slowly and safely, or let them advance quickly and face annihilation. We chose life over freedom, President Yunji spoke up, and now we all face the consequences of our advancement. Together. The harvester fleet was 12 hours away. The Confederation held an emergency council. We can't outgun them, Admiral Junho stated flatly. We can't outrun them. Our only chance is to outsmart them. They're machines, Lieutenant Minho pointed out. Perfect logic, perfect efficiency. How do you outsmart that? By being imperfect, Mirai said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at her. Think about it. They're programmed to respond to predictable patterns. Logic, efficiency, standard tactics. What if we give them chaos instead? Admiral Junho started to understand. Random movements, illogical tactics, things that make no sense from a strategic perspective. They'll waste processing power trying to find the pattern, Captain Do-hyun added, trying to predict what we're doing when there's nothing to predict. It's insane, Thexanor said. Deliberately fighting inefficiently? Humans have been doing insane things successfully for centuries. Minho grinned. It's kind of our specialty. The battle began badly. The harvester fleet opened fire with mathematical precision, targeting the most strategic vessels in the Confederation fleet. Ships exploded. Shields failed. Within the first 10 minutes, the Confederation lost 200 vessels. Then Admiral Junho implemented the Chaos Protocol. Human ships suddenly broke formation and flew in completely random directions. Some ships fired all weapons at empty space. Others broadcast music on military frequencies. A few started spinning in place for no apparent reason. The harvester fleet paused. For the first time in millions of years, their tactical algorithms encountered something that made no sense. They tried to analyze the pattern. There was no pattern. It's working, Do-hyun reported. Their response time is slowing. They're dedicating more resources to analysis. But it wasn't enough. The harvesters adapted, simply ignoring the chaos and firing at everything. The Confederation needed something more. Mirai made her move. She opened a communication channel directly to the harvester fleet's central intelligence. And then she transmitted something the ancient machines had never encountered. A joke. Why did the human cross the space station? She transmitted. To get to the other side. The harvester fleet's response was immediate confusion. They analyzed the statement, broke it down, searched for hidden meaning, for tactical significance, for threat assessment. There was none. It was just a joke, pointless, inefficient, illogical. Transmitting Earth's complete cultural database, Mirai announced. Comedy, art, music, poetry, philosophy, everything humans have created for the sheer joy of creation. The data flooded the harvester network. Millions of years of pure logical operation suddenly faced the complete irrationality of human culture. Cat videos, dad jokes, abstract art, experimental music, romantic poetry, philosophical debates that went in circles. The harvester fleet actually stopped moving. Young Hana, watching from a science vessel, had an idea. She opened her own channel to the harvesters. "You were programmed to eliminate technological threats," she transmitted. "But what if you're measuring the wrong thing? What if the greatest evolutionary success isn't the strongest civilization, but the most diverse?" She transmitted evidence of the Galactic Confederation.
80 different species with wildly different technologies all cooperating.
The Vraxians with their honor and ceremony, the Kreenath with their philosophy, the humans with their chaos and creativity. Every civilization you've destroyed was isolated, competitive, focused on pure technological advancement. Hana continued. "We're different. We advance through cooperation. We balance technology with wisdom. We create not just for efficiency but for joy." The Harvester's central intelligence processed this. It was a logical paradox. Their programming said eliminate technological threats, but the Confederation represented something their creators had never imagined. Technological advancement combined with diversity, cooperation, and apparently pointless cultural creativity. From his ancient ship, Rixal watched in amazement. "In 3,000 years, we never thought to try talking to them. We just hid." The Harvester fleet sent a response. Not an attack, a query. Define cooperation. Define joy. Define purpose beyond survival. Mirai smiled. "They're asking questions. They've never asked questions before." What followed was the strangest negotiation in galactic history. The Confederation didn't try to convince the Harvesters to leave. Instead, they invited them to observe, to learn, to update their assessment of what constituted a threat. "Your creators programmed you millions of years ago," President Yunji transmitted. "But the galaxy has changed. Civilizations can be advanced and peaceful, technological and cooperative. We're not a threat to the galaxy's stability. We're an example of a new kind of stability." The Harvester fleet requested data. Enormous amounts of data. They wanted to observe every aspect of the Confederation. The good and the bad, the successes and the failures, the conflicts and the resolutions. The Confederation gave them everything. Complete transparency, including the arguments, the disagreements, the cultural clashes. They didn't hide their imperfections. 3 days later, the Harvester fleet made a decision. They wouldn't destroy the Confederation, but they wouldn't leave either. They would maintain a presence at the galaxy's edge, observing, collecting data, updating their assessment of what constituted a threat to galactic stability. It wasn't a complete victory. The Harvesters remained a potential threat. But for the first time in millions of years, they had deviated from their core programming. They had chosen to observe rather than destroy. 5 years passed. The Galactic Confederation grew to include over 100 civilizations. The Academy on Europa expanded to 4 continents. Technology flowed freely, but so did art, philosophy, and culture. Commander Taiyang, now retired, gave lectures on first contact at the Academy. His favorite part was playing the recording of that first meeting with Ambassador Kelthor, the one where humanity had struggled not to laugh at the terrifying alien empire. The auditorium always erupted in laughter. Human students and alien students alike, even Vraxian students, who could appreciate the humor of their former empire's dramatic entrance. "That's the thing about humans," Taiyang would say after the laughter died down. "We can't help but find the absurdity in everything, even in our own superiority, especially in our own superiority."